This class will look at strategic management. Now, this is one class in a series of classes on this topic, so check out the other classes that appear in the series. So for the moment, let's just look at what we mean by strategic management. This is aimed at making managerial decisions that set the long-run course for the business. In other words, strategic management is focused on the long run. The quality of the decisions ultimately determine the long-run performance of the business. So it's important for management to have a long-run perspective of the business. Without this, the business would drift. It would just move from one time period to the next in a haphazard fashion. So it's important to have focus, and if it's got focus, then of course its performance may be monitored. It may be compared by the standards set out in the plan. The idea of strategic management promotes good business performance through good practice and planning. Good planning and its implementation promotes good business practice. The management must endeavour to achieve what is set out in the plan. It should allow for changes in the environment and be capable of adaptation in a changing environment. So a good plan should have some flexibility built in. It should be aware that the environment in which the business is operating is not perhaps a static environment. It's a dynamic one in which there are many influences. The role of government, the role of local authorities and local government, the role of pressure groups and the wider influence of stakeholders. There are many influences on the business, and a good plan should allow for these and should enable the management to work in a changing environment and at the same time achieve its strategic objective. It should coordinate diverse parts of the business and focus their efforts on the key managerial goal. Now, the key managerial goal or organizational goal, the key goal is to achieve what the targets set out, achieve what the plan sets out. The target of the plan is to achieve a certain rate of economic growth or to diversify into certain markets or whatever the plan is. And a good plan should organize the resources of the business in a way that enables the business to achieve the target. Now, the strategic management process, well, first of all, set out the business's mission. What are its available strategies and what are the goals of the business? So look at the mission of the business. What is the business attempting to do? And conduct a SWOT and a pest analysis on the business. Look at what resources has the business got and what are the strengths of the business and the opportunities and the weaknesses and so on. Look at the internal strengths and weaknesses of the business and look at the external, the political, economic, the social, the technological. Look at all of those factors that impinge upon the business from outside and assess the business in the context of the SWOT and pest analysis. And when that's done, devise a detailed plan for the business, a plan that is robust and incorporates what is known of the business from the SWOT and the pest analysis. And then implement the plan. When the plan is implemented, evaluate the results. Look at the results and make any changes if need be. So look at the resources and capabilities of the business, look at the total opportunities in the environment, and try to determine if the two overlap. If they overlap, then there are opportunities that the business may exploit. So look at the capabilities of the business, look at the resources of the business, look at what opportunities there are in the environment, put the two together and see what the business may do. Now there are levels of organizational strategy. There's the corporate level, which looks at the overall business. Then there is the business level, which looks at the strategic business units, which may be an individual product or a particular factory or a particular part of the business. So it looks at the business level, it looks at the strategic business units. And then there's the functional level, where, if you like, where the activities take place, where there is research and development. And the research and development will feed back into the strategic business unit, which of course will feed back into the corporate level itself. So the corporate level will have a strategic plan, the business levels will have strategic plans, and the functional levels will also have strategic plans. What is required of the research and development department in the next year or the next 5 years? What's required of the manufacturing department? If there is a manufacturing department, it may be a service-based industry. What about marketing? What's expected of the marketing section? Perhaps they're expected to grow sales by 7% in the following year, or 10% in the following year. So there will be some target for the marketing people to meet, and the same for the HR, and the same for finance, and so on. So the planning process permeates the whole organization. It goes from the corporate level through business level down to functional level. And we want to talk about each of these briefly in the coming few slides. So we'll start with the corporate level strategies. Well, growth strategy, it's seeking to increase the organization's business by expanding into new products and markets. Well, that may be a set objective of the business, to grow the business. Growing businesses are a sign of success. And the types of growth strategy, well, it may be concentration, that the business is focusing in on some particular aspect of the market and making it theirs. This aspect of the market, whatever it is, belongs to the company. It is the expert in this area. It could be vertical integration. Vertical integration means perhaps acquiring a business that's closer to the customer. That's called vertical forward integration. Or it could be acquiring raw materials, which is vertical backwards integration. So this idea of vertical integration means how close is it to the final consumer. And if the business is moving towards the final consumer, it is vertically forward integrating. If it's moving towards raw materials, it's vertically backwards integrating. There's also horizontal integration, where businesses, if you like, at the same distance from the customer, from the consumer, distances at the same distance are merging. So perhaps two retail units, two retail businesses in the same market area may merge. That's horizontal integration. They're not moving closer to the customer or to the consumer, and they're not moving closer to the raw materials. They are staying at the same level. They are just moving sidewards. And there is diversification, which is looking for new opportunities. With corporate level strategies, there is the idea of a stability strategy. This is a strategy that seeks to maintain the status quo. With corporate level strategies, one may be to seek stability, to maintain the status quo, for the business to stay where it is, not to deteriorate, and perhaps not to take risks by changing. When faced with uncertainty, a business may wish to select a strategy that avoids or minimizes the uncertainty. So in this case, it avoids taking risks, it avoids growth and decline. It tries to stay where it is. And that would be a stability strategy. There's also the possibility of a retrenchment strategy. This reduces the size or activities of the business. Retrenchment strategies include cost reductions, reducing the labour force, closing entire or underperforming product lines or services. So retrenchment is reducing the size of the business. It's moving backwards. It's reducing the overall size of the business. Retrenchment. At the corporate level, we also have to look at corporate portfolio analysis. To this end, the Boston Consulting Group matrix may be used. It considers market share and industry growth rates. We're not going to go into the Boston Consultancy Group because it's covered extensively in other videos. So let's just leave that one and move on to business level strategy. A strategy that seeks to determine how an organization should compete in each of its SBUs, each of its strategic business units. So the business level strategy, which is down from the corporate level, it looks at the competitiveness of each of the strategic business units. Now, the role of competitive advantage. Well, competitive advantage of the business, this is directly linked to core competencies. The competitive advantage and core competencies are linked. Core competencies are what the business can do best. It's where they have particular skill, particular talents. It is where they're able to beat the competitors. It may be a production technique or a way of selling or some aspect of the business that gives it an advantage. Quality as a competitive advantage. Quality may distinguish a business from its competitors. If a business is emphasizing quality and the market recognizes the quality of the product, then a business may get a competitive advantage. The customers see the product as high quality, so they relate to the product. So it can create a competitive advantage. Quality is a way of getting competitive advantage. The focus on quality leads the business to follow a policy of continuous product improvement and improvement in customer experience. That's how we measure quality. It's how the customer assesses the product. If the customer is happy with the product, it's good quality. If the customer believes it's value for money, it's good quality. So it's following a process of continuous product development, continually trying to improve the product so that it's received better in the marketplace. The customers value it more. And that is the the way in which quality can be used as a competitive advantage. Now, there are forces in an industry analysis that may be represented as in this slide here, with new entrants and the threat of new entrants, buyers and bargaining power of buyers, substitutes and the threats of substitutes, and the bargaining power of suppliers. This schema was developed by Michael Porter, and it's commonly known as the 5 forces analysis. It also is the subject of separate videos and will be only looked at briefly in this case. Now, a cost leadership strategy. Well, the business may seek to be the market leader through its lower cost structure. A business which is efficient and is able to cut costs may lead the market simply because it may charge less for the product, or it may dedicate any freed up resources from its efficiency in terms of improving the quality of the product. It may pursue a differentiation strategy. In this case, the business tries to distinguish itself by differentiating its product or service. So that's another strategy, to differentiate the product, to make the product look different or behave different, or to have different functionality, which makes it more attractive in the marketplace. And the business may concentrate on a market segment or a subset of the total market because of a cost or differentiation advantage. So the business may target a particular segment of the market and just focus in on that segment, leaving the other segments for the competitors. But by focusing in on a particular segment, it gains a competitive advantage. It's seen to be applicable to that particular segment. Some clothing companies may focus on teenagers, for example. So older people do not go looking for those particular products or don't go to those particular shops. There could also be customer service strategies, giving the customers what they want, communicating with them effectively. It's a customer service, giving them what they want, communicating with them effectively, providing employees with customer service training so that the employees know how to deal with customers, so the customers feel like they're being dealt with properly. Particularly important in after-sales service, where there may be an issue with the product, it's not working or it's not what was expected, and in order to maintain customer loyalty, effective communications is required and good after-sales service is also necessary. There could also be innovation strategies. Could be radical breakthroughs in product design, perhaps because of new technology. Perhaps there's new ways of doing the activity that the product is designed to promote. Innovation strategies could cross a wide range of products. Bicycles, for example, have changed immensely over the years. Cars have changed immensely over the years. Televisions, items in the home, items in the office. So it's looking at the application of existing technology to new uses. That is in the short run. In the long run, it could be looking at totally new technology and new uses. Now there's so many examples of this that we could be here all day just discussing different types of products that have developed in this way. Microwave ovens. 50 years ago there was no microwave oven. and the idea of a microwave oven would be seen as science fiction. So it's looking at new technology to create new products, or it could be looking at existing technology to create new products. That's really very clever. Looking at existing technology and changing the product so as to deliver a new product with existing state-of-the-art. As I said, that happens mostly in the short run. In the long run, new technology generates new products. Strategic decisions about innovation, well, some basic research is normally required, the product development and process innovation. So there are three main parts here. Basic research, that can be expensive and it may lead nowhere in particular. A lot of basic research does not come up with new products. It may be a slow and tortuous activity. Yet it's absolutely essential. Without basic research, we will never have new products. Basic research is what takes state-of-the-art thinking and applies it for commercial purposes. Product development is looking at an existing product and trying to change the product for the better, trying to change it in a way that will make it more acceptable to the customer and give it extra functionality and make it more attractive in the marketplace. And process innovation is not seen by the customer, it's what happens internally within the business. Process innovation is simply a new way of making the product, perhaps a more cost-efficient way of making the product. First mover advantage is very important when we talk about innovation. It's which company comes first with the new design. The one who comes first will get most sales and will gain a lot of kudos in the market. The customer will respect the company as the one who has innovated first and who has come up with a new idea. The other companies are followers. They come along afterwards. So first mover advantage is very important in the context of innovation. Now, issues in planning. Well, planning may create rigidity. So there is a danger in designing a plan that it becomes inflexible. And as I said earlier, the environment is changing. The environment is a changing feast. It may change for all sorts of reasons. The government may make new policies, or local government may have new rules, or customer tastes may change. So plans need to be flexible. And it's difficult to plan in a dynamic environment. When the world is changing rapidly, it's difficult to set out plans because we're not sure where everything will be in a year or 5 years' time. At times of rapid technological progress, it's difficult to make decisions about capital expenditure because the chances are any expenditure made in the present time period will be outdated in a couple of years' time. So planning is difficult in a dynamic environment. And plans must allow for creativity. The fact that there is a plan in place gives the business a target and helps everyone to pull in the same direction, which is good. But there will be people within the organization who will have new ideas and better ideas, and the plan should be capable of incorporating those ideas. The plan should be able to flex or bend to enable the incorporation of new ideas. Otherwise, the business will be aiming to an outcome which has been set in a previous time period. Well, the world may have moved on since the time the plan was originally devised. So planning tends to be based on the current experience, and that's not necessarily a good thing, but oddly enough, it's what we've got. We all value the world and evaluate the world according to our current experiences. But our current experiences will be outdated as technology changes, as the world changes, as tastes change, as markets change, as trading patterns change, and so on. So we start from the current experience because we have no choice. This is where we are. But we need to recognize that we need to be flexible, to incorporate new ideas and have a plan which pulls the organization together and concentrates effort on a particular goal, but at the same time will enable the incorporation of new ideas, new ways of thinking as the organization moves towards the final objective. So planning and strategy, very important for the business, but it's important to have a flexible mind and to be aware of all of the issues that surround the whole strategy issue and planning issue for the business. This is one class in many based on this, and I suggest strongly that you look at the other classes to get a fuller picture of the whole strategy and planning framework. But that's all I'm going to do in the present session, so thank you for watching.